Greetings folks, and welcome back to another exciting Let's Play with me, Phil Turrell. This time we're tackling Sonic 2, or Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Actually the first game I've actually owned ever of all time. But with a new game comes a new companion. In this game we are going to be introduced to Sonic's constant companion and best friend ever, Tails Prower, because, you know, Sega was doing puns before I was, and they're the masters of it, I guess. But anyways, Tails comes from, I believe, West Side Island, because, you know, thug life. But with this game and this version, you can play as those characters you see there, but we're just going to keep it real with Sonic and Tails, because, you know, that is the gimmick in this new game. Is you can, well, that's a good way to start. You can play with both Sonic and Tails, and if you had a second controller, well, the other player can control Tails, and, you know, for better or for worse, you know, they can take rings and kill enemies for you and all that stuff, and they can assist you in, well, these special stages, which is how you get the Chaos Emeralds. Now, to get Chaos Emeralds in this game, you have to obtain 50 rings, which is pretty easy in the early levels, and then it becomes much more of a chore and harder to do in the later zones, because, you know, enemies and spikes and all that good stuff, and, you know, environmental hazards. But once you get to your 50 ring count, you're going to go to the signpost that you saw in Sonic 1 that didn't have the stars, but once you go and touch them, there'll be a band of rings or stars above it, and stars, and then you go into this half pipe special stage that's been overdone to death ever since, you know, after Sonic 2. But the objective is to just grab the amount of rings that they tell you to grab, and it's not so hard in the first three special stages, maybe 4. After 4, they tend to get really hard and very tight on the number of rings that you can collect. Now, I'm gonna die on this hill, I imagine, and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, even if, you know, their opinion sucks or stinks, whatever. But in my opinion, it's much easier to get the Chaos Emerald when you have Tails in as the computer. And let me explain that, because I already hear people, oh my god, Phil, Tails hits bombs and he loses rings and your ring count goes down. Well, Tails' ring count goes down. If you play this by yourself with just Sonic, with no Tails, then the only rings that you get are the rings that you get as Sonic. There's no Tails, so Tails can't collect the rings that you miss when he's rubber banded to you, like you see here. So Tails is going to grab whatever rings that I miss when he, like, moves behind me. So to me, the way I look at it, those rings that Tails got, I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So Tails just acts as, hey, I'm just going to catch these extra rings, and that's pretty awesome. If he loses them, then it's not like I would have technically lost if I was playing by myself with Sonic. So I've always looked at it as Tails is just he's very nice to have on these special stages, but I imagine some people don't like that, but it is what it is. I think in one case, Tails actually comes in clutch in one of these Chaos Emeralds. But we can get more than one Chaos Emerald per level. In this particular act, we're going to get 3. We're going to get one coming up really soon. So go down here. We're going to go down here. We're going to go down and get the speed shoes. We're going to go this way. But we're going to get another set of, we're going to get another Chaos Emerald here. Messing around with my words. So just make sure you don't get hit. Go in this signpost, and then we'll start. And when you're playing as Sonic, you'll always have the same rings that you entered into the special stage with. I think in the original Sonic 2, when you play as Knuckles, Knuckles lost all of his rings for some reason. I don't know why. But there's 7 Chaos Emeralds in this game. There's not 6 like the original Sonic. I guess the other one got just missed her, so he flew and joined the other 6, like it showed at the ending of Sonic 1 on the Origins collection, which I guess is a nice retcon of how that happened, I guess. I don't know. But what else? I believe, since we're on West Side Island, I guess because Robotnik's all like, oh, hey, I want to go ahead and build a giant Star Wars themed Death Egg look-alike, or Death Star look-alike. We're going to call it a Death Egg, because, you know, that's just wonderful. And that's basically the whole plot of Sonic 2 in a nutshell. He wants to make the Death Egg, and Sonic's like, alright, we're going to go stop him. And Tails like, oh, hey, I'll join too. This is my home island. For all those who have not played Sonic 2, all 8 or 9 of y'all. I'll be a little bit more generous. It's probably not 2. It's probably like 9 or 8. And then this game tends to be everyone's, I would say not everyone's, but like a good portion of like the classic Sonic bases favorite game in my opinion. I know for the longest time it was mine until I got Sonic. And I say the longest time, it's like maybe 8 months. And then we got Sonic 3, and fell in love with Sonic 3. Sonic 3 is my favorite. But a lot of people I grew up with, Sonic 2 is like their favorite for some reason. I mean, it is a great game, don't get me wrong, but when Sonic 3 came out for me, it just blew all this away and all that. But anyways, back to not Green Hill Zone, aka Emerald Hill Zone. Emerald Hill Zone is basically just Green Hill Zone. You get used to Sonic and the basics of... Okay, thank you, Tails. The basics of Sonic 2, which, I mean, hasn't really changed from Sonic 1, other than the Chaos Emeralds. And like I said, we're going to get 3 Chaos Emeralds in the first act. And really, if I had played my cards right, I could have gotten all the Chaos Emeralds in Emerald Hill Zone, which is kind of funny considering I didn't even think about it right now. It's called Emerald Hill Zone. You can get all the Chaos Emeralds in Emerald Hill Zone. Act 3 is where it starts to become a little bit harder. Quad Demonstratum. And getting all the rings that you need to get the Chaos Emerald, because as you see there, that's a very interesting pattern to try to get rings that line. So you have to be very precise of how to move Sonic on this half pipe. Sonic, for the most part, if you move him on the side, he'll stay on the side if you just gently tap, and I say gently tap, and he'll stay in about the same location on the side of the half pipe. Right now, I'm not doing anything with Sonic. I'm just letting him run. I'm just letting him do his thing, and Sonic will always go forward. He's not ever going to stop going forward. If you move him to the side to the half pipe and you don't tap the direction to keep him there, he'll slide right back down to the middle of the half pipe, and if you hard press the direction, he'll go all the way to the top and go up and down all around the loop. And that was Tails, not me, so the way I look at it, those rings didn't even really matter, because I wouldn't have had them if I was just playing just Sonic by myself. So 5 more rings to go. We got those rings and we're good to go. And if you don't avoid the bombs, you will not get the Chaos Emerald. So that's just basically how this is going to start to become. Early the last 2 special stages, you could have made a few mistakes and recovered, but with this one, you want to start avoiding the bombs all the time. But I guess, yeah, we got the Blueberry Gusher, the Grape Gusher, and the Cherry Gusher, I guess. And so with that, we'll be done with Emerald Hill Zone Act 1, because the end of the level is right here. And that's it. That's the end of Act 1. So now we're going to go into Act 2. Act 2, I had to jump cut the very beginning of it. If you notice a little bit of a discrepancy there, I did have to edit out some parts of the half pipe, the special stages. I think special stage 5, because I paused for a very long time. So I just want to edit that out, so I didn't want to restart it. So if you notice some little bit of jump cuts, that's what that was. But Act 2, Emerald Hill Zone. Emerald Hill Zone has, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it has 5 of the checkpoints, so you have 5 attempts to get Chaos Emerald, but the first one is really well hidden. You wouldn't notice it unless you went out of your way, which is what I'm about to do. So why there's a checkpoint up here other than the fact to get a Chaos Emerald is beyond me, but you have to go up here, way out of the way, I know, and then there's a lot of rings here to help you get to your 50, which I already have well beyond 50. Hit the spring and then hard turn to the left, like jump and hold left, and you'll get on this platform where there's a signpost and a chance to get a Chaos Emerald. Now, in my opinion, this is the last of the easier levels. It's not super hard to beat this one with just, Sonic. And, majority of them you can beat really, not really easily with Sonic, but after this one, I feel like it really helps to have Tails to help catch those rings that you're not able to grab. Because there's some patterns you'll never get all the rings with just Sonic by himself. If someone can show me that you can, well, then I guess you can, and I'm wrong. But I've never been able to get all those rings, and I'm just gonna stick by my guns and think, okay, Tails can grab whatever rings I miss. Maybe not all of them, but he can grab some of them. Okay, so again, just, make sure that when you ride the side of the half pipe, just gently tap the direction that you're trying to go, and then he'll stay in that location. And that's what generally will work for me. And of course, when you're on the side of the half pipe and you jump, Sonic will jump to the opposite end. And then you always want to be observant what's ahead of you. Like right there, I saw those bombs on the left. I'm going to jump once I pass them. So with that, we got 142 rings. I think we're supposed to get 130, 120. Now we just got to get 150. We only need 8 more. So we're almost there. I think once we clear these first bombs, there'll be all these rings, and we'll have more than enough. Okay, one more ring, and then we'll be done. And there we go. We got all those rings. So all we gotta do is just survive, and we're good to go. Just collect more rings as we go. And that's it. I mean, that's really in a nutshell how these special stages work. And they don't get super hard till 5. I find 6 is, in my opinion, special stage 6 is the hardest out of the 7. 7 is kind of gimmicky, but it's not super difficult in my opinion, even though the randomness of the rings. With that, we got the Strawberry Gusher, and we got more than half the Chaos Emeralds. All we need is 3 more, and then we can get the super special reward that you'll start to unlock once you get all the Chaos Emeralds going forward in most Sonic games. Or getting the special real ending in the later Sonic games, the 3 Sonic games. And as you saw there, we absolutely got another signpost within like 5 seconds of the last signpost. So get 55 rings this one. I would encourage you to get I know this goes without saying, but get all the rings you can get, because this starts to get very tight in terms of the rings that you can get. So here, just make sure you make notes up ahead where the rings are, and there's patterns that you'll notice, like for example, not here exactly, but you went right, down, and then right. There's sometimes a pattern to them if you can kind of pay attention what's going on in front of you. So here we gotta get 110 rings. That's almost double of what we have, but this pattern right here is super hard to get all the rings going. Like in the pathway that you're going, you can't obviously get the rings on the left and right, so it's Sonic alone. But trying to get all the rings you can, because right there, that was it. That was a very quick section, and we got 13 rings over, so now we gotta get 200, and that's going to be very tight. So watch for the pattern here. There's going to be rings, then bombs. Oh, sorry, not this one. There's going to be rings on the right, then the middle, then the left, and then back down to the middle, and then back to the right, upper right, and there'll be rings in the bottom, and then up left, rings in the bottom, and on top right, and then rings up the top. This is where Tails comes very clutch. He'll grab the rings that you don't get, obviously, and then you got this weird pattern that you have to tap the direction that you're going to make a complete turn around the half pipe, but not so fast that you skip the rings, but not too slow that the rings don't touch you either. So it's a very tricky type of pattern to get a hold of, but if you've been practicing, you should be able to get it. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but the good thing about the Origins collection is if you screw up on the special stages, you can always trade in one of your lives, aka your coins, for another attempt. So there's that. But yeah, we're about to get another. What the hell? Moves out. Oh shit! I forgot about that. That should have totally hit me. That should have totally hit me. I forgot about that. Because it's been about a week or so since I've actually played and recorded this, and this is post commentary. Special stage 8. You got to get 80 rings from the very get-go. So this is going to be very fun. I still can't believe those spikes didn't count as a hit. Anyways. So right, left, middle, and then right, and then in the middle probably. Or no, I was going to switch this pattern. So it's right, and then right. As you saw coming up ahead, and it's going to be bombs on the right. And then rings. And now this pattern right here, be very careful. You just want to tap. You don't want to overshoot the rings, but you don't want to be so slow. That was a little jump cut right there where I paused. But we got 20 more rings than what we needed. So now we need 140, and that was another jump cut right there. So let's go ahead and get these rings. This one should be pretty manageable. Just make sure you get all the rings you can, because the last one I believe is the tightest of them all. So you want to get more rings than you need here by a large margin. And by a large margin, I think I said 140. So we got a little bit over. We got 180. Heck, I don't remember what the ring count was. But we got 180, 194. That's a pretty large margin right there. I think the next one would be like 200, 220. So that's about 26 more rings. That's a pretty good margin. I got hit. So now I'm really sweating it because now I got hit technically once by Sonic and twice with Tails. So Tails can't really help me now because he has no rings. So this is all Sonic's, baby. This is all Sonic's time to shine. So we need 17 more, and we're going to cut this super close if I remember right. So that's 217. And I just get 3 rings right there, and then we have these last few bunches of rings to gather right here. So we just get enough rings. I guess not really enough, like not a whole bunch, but we got 24 extra rings, and we get the lime flavored gusher right here. And then if I played my cards right, we could have gotten the last Chaos Emerald and Emerald Hail Zone, but I totally got hit, and I forgot there is a signpost at the very end right before the boss fight. Because in the zones in Sonic 2, there's only 2 acts per zone. I would imagine that had to do with putting more zones than what there was in Sonic 1, because there's about like 3 zones extra than there was in Sonic 1, which is very nice. I appreciate that very much. And then, of course, every time you get 100 rings, you get an extra life or coins in this case, because we're playing the Origins collection. Now, there is a extra signpost that's out of the way. So to get it, you have to cross over this corkscrew loop, jump on the red spring. It will carry you a pretty far distance here. Let it hit the yellow spring and avoid all the coconuts right here. And then you get one there, and you get one there, and I've totally forgot that. Hey, I could have just gotten that one instead. Is that one that you have to avoid getting hit by those coconut monkey robots? That one's a pretty tough one to not get hit. Now, Robotnik, I love his new boss music. His new boss music in Sonic 2. In my opinion, it's a lot better than Sonic 1, and in some ways, I like it more than Sonic 3 Knuckles. But 8 hits, he goes down, and his little Eggmobile doesn't get to shoot off his drill on the final hit. So we'll free the little woodland creatures, and they can fly and jump all over and get the heck out of Emerald Hill Zone and get captured and get roboticized again and rescue them, and they're stuck in some kind of limbo. Anyways, the next zone, Chemical Plant Zone. Fantastic Zone. This is the one that a lot of people tend to think about in Sonic 2 because of, you know, the later games like Sonic Generations and Sonic Origins, not Sonic Origins, Sonic Mania. It's not one of my favorite zones, but it's a good zone, don't get me wrong. I love the music and I like the aesthetics. But this zone has a pretty infamous part in the end of Act 2. Act 1's kind of short. It's really short in my opinion. If you just, you know, go through it really quickly and not take your time like I am. I think I get it in like a minute and 10 seconds-ish, maybe? I don't exactly remember. I only watched myself once, I think, if that. Half watching, which is a very bad habit. Always watch your replays, folks, so you know what to commentate over. But let's see if it's a minute and 10 seconds. But going back to Act 2, Act 2 has a water section that, if you're not very careful, you can drown. And I think you see a bit of that in Sonic Mania. It's not quite the same as Sonic Mania, but it's a very good representation of what was in the original Sonic 2. So let's see, it's really close. 7, 8, 9, and no, I got to 11. Almost there. But as you see there, Act 1's super short. But Chemical Plant Zone has a pretty good track, but it's not my favorite track, and this is not my favorite zone in Sonic 2. But hey, we gotta continue, which means we got 3 coins. Okay, now Act 2 is where the real meat and potatoes is, because you get a lot of speed in Act 2. So much so, I think in the original Sonic 2, you can outrun the screen. Not so much in the Origins collections. So, you know, you can't really outrun the screen, but you can damn well try. And you get a lot of speed in certain parts, which is pretty cool, because, you know, you're Sonic the Hedgehog, you're the fastest thing alive. But just be very careful, don't get crushed by those blocks, because it certainly has happened to me. I think it's happened to me in Sonic Mania, I'm sure. I'm sure Phil's not going to show that embarrassing footage somewhere here. We'll get killed if you crush Sonic's head, like you saw me do that right there. Because it's really hard to get back down there to the top. But avoid those spider bots. If you get caught by them, just button mash the controls, and then you can get out of their grasp before they explode. And then jump in here, break this little pipe. Now, I'm not sure what dictates if you go on the upper path or lower path, so I might have to have Future Phil do a little bit of research, but something dictates whether you go on the upper path or lower path, and I'm going down the lower path, obviously. Because I remember thinking to myself, what makes me go up or down in these paths, and I've never been able to figure it out. So here you'll go down this path. I think this is the only path you can go down in this part. So you're going to go up here, there's some rings here, you can go and get this. And we will get the final Chaos Emerald in this part right about here, because there's this signpost. And we'll get this. Now, the final zone, this final special zone in Sonic 2, it's a bit gimmicky. And what I mean by that is once you clear the first part is the easiest in my opinion. So just go and collect your rings, and you're going to stay on the sides here. As you see here, the patterns are going to be left, right, left, right, left, right. And then just be very mindful, because at some point it will change where you get a double right there, you get another double right here. You jump over to the other side, you get a double, and jump to the other side, and you'll get a double. So you can see the pattern right going. And then here it switches up left, right, left, right. Try to get as many rings as you can, because the next part you'll see what I mean by it being gimmicky once we get there. So we got 126, that's a pretty good amount. Now, the second part is where it gets absolutely batshit crazy, because they're going to throw rings everywhere and you got to get 190. My suggestion, oh sorry, it's the last part, not this part. This part's pretty tame, sorry. So, you know, just be careful. The patterns are pretty telegraphed. So just watch out for the bombs, collect your rings. Just make sure you don't hit the bombs. And see there, most of the rings are on the left, and it switches up to left, right, left, right. We got 209, so we already got that one. I believe this one's just 200, I think. So here, 200 and 210. 210. So here, they just throw rings everywhere. So what I like to do, I like to stay on the bottom. I don't like to go too far up the half pipe. I don't like to go too far off to the sides, because there's bombs everywhere, as you can see. Once you get past those rings, there's bombs everywhere. So just grab all the rings you can. Sometimes you grab 2 at a time, because sometimes they put some rings right next to each other. So you'll be able to get 2 at a time. And then just don't get hit by bombs like Tails or me. So we got 220, so we're still good. After this bunch of rings, we're done, I think. I think there might be one more stretch of normal rings, but that's it. Nope, that's it. So we get a little flashing screen, and we'll get the mystery color flavored gusher, which is probably disgusting, but we got the 7th Chaos Emerald, which means we can go and turn into Super Sonic, aka Super Saiyajin Sonic. Anyways, now one thing that they did do on Sonic Origins Collection, I'm super thankful for, because in the original Sonic 2, if you so much as hop 2 inches off the ground when you had 50 rings or more, Sonic would automatically turn to Sonic 2, and you would get this pretty cool track that is very cool for about 10 seconds, and then it just repeats and it gets annoying, because the song will repeat. I might have just gotten an annoyance with that song when I was younger, but it just plays and plays and plays and plays and plays, and it will play until you run out of rings, or until Sonic gets crushed and dies, or falls into a bottomless pit, which in some cases I used to do that on purpose just to reset the music. But you're invincible. Enemies cannot kill you. You can be crushed, you can drown, you can die from bottomless pits, but you'll go super fast, and you cannot be killed by enemies. So just be mindful about that. But in Sonic Origins Collection, for you to turn Super Sonic, you have to jump and jump again in midair, and then you'll be able to go Super Saiyajin Sonic. So Robotnik here, he's going to pump water into his little pot, and then he'll spray it on top of you. But because we're Super Sonic and I don't give a shit, I'm going to go ahead and take him out. And that's the end of this part, because no nonsense, right? And then we'll catch up with one of my favorite zones, Aquatic Ruin Zone. It took me a minute to remember what it was, the name of the zone and the order, actually. So I'll catch you next part, folks. Later and bye.